The greatest golfers of all time have won more money, more trophies, and more majors than John Daly ever did. So listen to what happens when one of them, a man with 6 major championships of his own, starts telling stories about him.
It's just like the 1992 BC Open, when you came out and you won, and you never went to the range or hit warm-up balls. Did you even hit 1 or 2 by the putting green?
I didn't even know there was a range.
There you go.
No, you said you had to drive somewhere, and I go, oh, drive somewhere for a range?
Yeah.
I ain't going nowhere.
Or pay for range balls is what Phil was
And we
saying.
had those spikes, the metal spikes, and everybody's coming in, the spikes got frozen,
Yeah.
ice on them. I was sitting there drinking hot chocolate, first tee.
He'd go hit a few putts. You'd
Yeah.
show up 15, 20 minutes before you tee off,
Uh-huh.
grab a drink, hit a few putts, and go. And that was it. And you drove it so great on a course that was tight.
Yeah.
And you just took out driver on every hole. Guys were hitting irons and stuff. You just blasted it and dominated.
That's Phil Mickelson, a player with more than 30 years at the top of this sport, and what he's describing became a pattern that followed Daly his whole career. He'd show up looking like the tournament was an afterthought, and then he'd take it apart. Most professionals grind their entire lives for a single win on tour. Daly treated winning like something that happened to him on the way to the party. And Phil is nowhere near the biggest name who talks about Daly this way. Tiger Woods has won 15 majors to Daly's 2. Tiger spent his career in the gym before sunrise, and Daly spent his at the bar after midnight. And yet, years ago, away from the cameras, Tiger said something to Daly that flips that entire comparison on its head. We'll get to his exact words, and to a moment caught on camera decades later that proves he never stopped meaning them. Because the list of legends who looked at John Daly and saw something they didn't have goes back a long way. All the way to before anyone in America even knew his name, when one European pro collided with him completely by accident. In 1987, David Feherty was an established tour winner with a Ryder Cup appearance still ahead of him. Daly was an unknown at that point, a kid without a PGA Tour card, playing wherever anyone would let him tee it up. That's when their paths first crossed.
I actually met him on the first tee, a place called Rand Park, and I was leading the tournament by a shot, and he was a shot behind me, and I went out in 29 that morning, and I was still a shot in front of him. I wondered who this skinny American kid was and why he wouldn't go away. And I hadn't seen him. He was either on the other fairway or 100 yards, in front of me. He ended up winning the tournament from me by a shot. And he said to me at the prize giving, he says, "Do you want to come back to my hotel? I'm going to have a party."
Feherty went on to spend the next few decades around the best players alive, first competing against them and then interviewing them for a living. He had every opportunity to revise his opinion of the skinny kid who ran him down. He never did. In 2012, when Golf Channel sent him to Arkansas to spend a day filming with Daly, this is how he summed the man up. He has a talent for the game of golf that's undeniable. Winning 2 majors against the best players in the world is no fluke any way you look at it. Feherty chose those words carefully. 2 majors against the best players in the world, and no fluke. That's a direct answer to everyone who ever dismissed Daly as a long hitter who got lucky twice. And the players who actually shared a range with him will tell you the distance was only half of what made him frightening. And that touch never really left him, because in August of 2024, one of the longest hitters in today's game invited Daly onto his YouTube channel and saw it up close.
Like they talk about your long drives all day long, but you had an unbelievable short game. Super amazing hands.
Shot you.
Coming from Bryson, that carries real weight. This is a 2-time US Open champion who measures every variable in his game down to the decimal, telling the man across the cart that his short game was unbelievable. And if you want a picture of what that touch actually looked like in Daly's prime, you can hear it from a man who saw it with his own eyes. Sir Ian Botham is a cricket legend, one of the greatest athletes England ever produced, and he happened to be standing near a practice ground in Dubai one day when Daly went to work.
Guy, what a talent. I remember he actually hit it off the tee here, there, down and he 4-iron for safety, put it in the back.
Oh, did he?
Yeah, 4-iron.
He sacked his caddy on the first.
Oh, I think he sacked himself. But no, he was good fun. A lot of talent. I remember Tiger Woods. We were in Dubai, and I went there, and John was practicing. Well, practicing. He had his Diet Coke and his cigarette in the other hand, and he was hitting the wedges off the ground, 30, 40 yards, and he'd do it with 10 with his top hand. Left hand, and then do 10 with his right hand. And there wasn't one, probably the furthest away would have been 4 feet from 35 yards. And he just a talent. And I remember Tiger Woods walked past, and he said to him, John said to him, Tiger, do you fancy a night out, or words to that effect? And you got kind of a drink. And he said, well, I would do if I was as talented as you. I would be going for a drink.
Players spend their entire careers trying to get wedges that close, with both hands on the club and a coach watching every rep. Daly was doing it one-handed, as a warm-up trick, with a drink and a cigarette going. But none of this should surprise anyone who remembers how he announced himself in the first place. In August of 1991, Daly was the 9th alternate for the PGA Championship at Crooked Stick. He drove through the night from Memphis without ever having seen the course, got into the field when Nick Price withdrew, borrowed Price's caddy, and won the tournament by 3 shots. It remains one of the most improbable victories in the history of major championship golf, and it made him famous overnight. But the reaction that tells you the most arrived 5 years later from the greatest champion the game has ever known. In 1996, at his own tournament, Jack Nicklaus was asked for his honest read on Daly. And this is what he had to say. John Daly doesn't care what his golf clubs are. That kid picks up anything and goes hits it great. He is a tremendous talent. And Nicklaus kept going. He pointed out that Daly couldn't tell you the specs of his own equipment and had no interest in learning them, that he just picked the club up and hit it. And then he added a line you almost never hear from the most meticulous champion in golf history. He said, "It was a pretty good way to be, actually." Jack Nicklaus, the man who planned his way to 18 majors, charting every course and plotting every shot for 30 years, was sounding almost wistful about a man who never planned anything in his life. That's the thread running through every voice in this video. The harder a player worked for greatness, the more Daly's ease seemed to haunt them, and nobody said it more bluntly than Gary Player. You want to know who was the most naturally talented player I ever saw? John Daly. If Daly worked like Tiger Woods works, he would have gone down as the greatest player who ever lived. Out of every golfer Gary Player watched across 7 decades in the sport, his pick for the most natural talent was John Daly. Player also admitted it broke his heart. The drinking, the smoking, the late nights, a phenomenal future that he believed Daly ruined. And that honesty is exactly why the praise carries so much weight. Player wasn't flattering a friend, he was mourning something he'd watched slip away. And of all the names Player could have measured Daly against, he went with Tiger Woods. Years before that interview, Tiger had made the same comparison himself, standing right in front of Daly, and coming out of his mouth, it hit even harder. "If I had your talent, I'd be doing the same thing you're doing." Tiger Woods outworked the entire sport for 2 decades and left nothing about his game to chance. And there he was, telling a guy with a drink in his hand that talent like his would have changed the way he lived. Daly says his own reaction was to stare back and think he was crazy. Neither of them ever walked it back, and 20 years later, they were still having the exact same conversation.
So thank you.
I'll meet you in the gym.
These aren't gyms are this 3-letter word. Yours is GYM, mine's BAR.
Right?
Same 2 men, after all these years, still needling each other about the gym and the bar, and still ending it with a hug. Every player in this video finished with a better career than John Daly. Nicklaus won 16 more majors than he did. Tiger won 13 more. Player won 7 more, and Phil won 4 more. By any measure that fits on a trophy shelf, all of them were better. But listen again to how they talk about him. They sound like men describing something they wanted and could never have because hard work built their careers, while raw talent built Daly's. When the men who chose to work the hardest are asked who is the most naturally talented, they keep pointing at the same guy. John Daly never became the greatest player who ever lived. He became the player the greatest players who ever lived envied. And if you listen to the legends, that might be an equally rare thing to be.